The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are not those of New Zambia or its employees, but of the presenter and the respective guests. The New Zambia podcast is powered and proudly brought to you by New Zambia Media.
Hello everyone, welcome to the New Zambia podcast. I'll be your host, Mutepa Puta. Today, I wanted us to touch on a topic of governance. And I think today we're going to look at governance in different aspects. Governance, what it is, or not really what it is. I think just governance, our expectations. We have a new government in place with, in most places, new members of parliament, new councillors, new mayors, and we've come from a position where there's a lot of disgruntledness amongst our citizenry, and our citizens have got very, very high hopes for this government. But I think what I wanted to find out, or what I wanted to discuss is, as citizens, what is our role? Because I feel that we have the tendency of ending our activism at the ballot box. And we get this hero worshipping complex that we expect so much. We do expect so much from our leaders, and they have to come through. But we have this hero worshipping complex that we expect our leaders to do everything for us. But I think it's our job to hold our leaders accountable. We do not hate our leaders if we ask questions, but I think it's our duty to ensure that we're asking questions, ensure we're asking the right questions, ensure we're not being petty. If you want to be taken seriously, don't be petty. Ask the right questions of our leaders. I have issues with public procurement. I think there's a lot that needs to be done there. I have issues with government spending. I think there's a lot to be done there as well. I think right now, public procurement is a big subject. I think right now, we can talk a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about government spending and the anticipated austerity measures that are looming upon us. The rise in fuel prices, the rise in electricity prices. I think these two things, the removal of subsidies on these two things, I think these two things are fundamental to how our economy runs. In a perfect world, we would like everything to be, we would like to have a free market economy where the market forces determine the prices, and we want everything to be fair. But realistically speaking, if fuel prices, if subsidies are removed from electricity and fuel prices, immediately, without any doubt, the cost of living is going to skyrocket. Because everything is going to go up. And what's going to happen is the cost of living is skyrocketing, but the paycheck is not matching the cost of living. And that's going to be a big issue. I think Zambian people are resilient, strong, and patriotic. And they will go to the ends of the earth for their government if they believe in them. Even if they don't believe in them, they'll go to the end of the earth for the government. Zambian people are very, very loyal. But I think the problem I have is I would have rather wanted to see serious austerity measures starting from the top, from within the government itself, as a show of good faith that government in itself is doing everything it can to cut down the cost of running the country. And where it fails, that's when I expect government to come back to the citizenry and ask us and tell us that, look, we've done so much to drop our expenditure, but we're falling short of this gap, and this is where we need the citizenry to come in. So we're asking the citizens to tighten their belts, because we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, we're going to do A, B, C, D. And that's what I expected. But for us to go and sacrifice first while expenditure at the top is still very high, I don't think that's fair. But that's just my opinion. I hope you will let us know what your opinions are. Please comment. Your feedback is very important, and we keep the conversation going. So where would I expect the government to cut down expenses? The country was running perfectly well with deputy district commissioners. I don't see the point for that office. I would like to be educated. I think it's a liaison between party and government and local administration, but really we've got permanent secretary, provincial permanent secretary, we've got a provincial minister, we've got a mayor, we've got all these other offices which I think are able to swallow up the functions of these offices. Certain ministries, I think if we do not have to pronounce. I'd say we have a ministry of green economy. Why don't we just take the Ministry of Commerce and ensure they're running green policies, and have a director of green economy to ensure that that agenda is being carried forward? And it's little things like that that I think, because it's little things like that I feel should be tackled and should be addressed so that we get maximum benefit. We pay our taxes. And life in Zambia is not easy. Everywhere you go, people are complaining. But they keep their head down, and they keep struggling, and they keep pushing forward in hope of a better tomorrow. And this is why I keep on saying that as we hope for a better tomorrow, we can't just sit by and watch our leaders. We have to give them direction. We have to let them know what we want to do. We have to let them know, not what we want to do, but what we want them to do. We have to be able to push the agenda that we want. We shouldn't stand by and let our parliamentarians, elected members of parliament, take their agenda or the party agenda into parliament. They should represent us and take our agenda. Because on this topic, because I feel like okay, let me do this. Let me talk to you about how I think the best system of government, or the best way we would run our government. I think if we had the executive branch with an elected president, and then the elected president would nominate cabinet members from outside of Parliament. Parliament will ratify those cabinet members, and that will be the executive branch. The legislature, Parliament, will be our elected people, and they will be there representing us through local councils. So we have a system where our local councils, where we have our councillors sitting with our area members of Parliament, making local decisions and taking those decisions to Parliament, and passing laws to ratify those decisions. I think that would be a system of government that would work, because right now the constituencies that have members of Parliament serving as ministers, I think people tend to put the job of the minister first above the job of area member of Parliament. And so, as much as it's nice to have your area member of Parliament appointed minister, I think we suffer. We suffer in terms of development, because your minister is not going to concentrate on actualizing development agenda for your constituency. That's how I feel. And I feel the government, the party and government should be separate. The government, in terms of the executive branch, should run independently, make decisions, and those decisions should be sent to Parliament, and Parliament to independently look at those decisions. There's been a discussion this week about the Speaker's decision to ask members of Parliament whose elections have been nullified to leave Parliament, and that decision has been taken to court. I'm not going to discuss too much about that decision or whatever is going to be in court. What I want to talk about is, if the process was to go through, because the Speaker is appointed by the President, who's the UPND President, and Parliament has a majority of UPND MPs. If you believe that the Speaker was out of line in her decision, as a UPND member of Parliament, I very much doubt you'd vote for impeachment. But my opinion is our members of Parliament should be able to make decisions in line with what they believe and in line with what is best for their people, rather than making decisions based on party lines or voting party lines without even thinking about it. And we've had this problem in successive governments, but I think we need to raise the bar. The new government has got a fresh mandate. They've got a clean slate. They've got the backing of the people. The people want them to do well. But it's up to them to ensure they listen to the people. Because the issue is, and you hear this from the now opposition PF members of Parliament and other PF officials, they'll tell you, our downfall was our arrogance. And they had a phrase, the arrogance of numbers. The arrogance of numbers. We've got the numbers, we can do what we want. That is not how it's supposed to be. You've got the numbers. Use them responsibly. Use them responsibly. Ensure that you represent your people fiduciously. So, yeah, I think that part of the governance issues that I have with where we are as a nation, and that's how, anyway, that's where I think, that's how I feel that our government would best serve the people. That's the best way our government would serve the people. The other, so I think let's get responsible. And responsibility starts with us asking questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. Whether on social media platforms, let's have these conversations. I mean, engage us on our platform whenever we put up a podcast or whatever. I mean, drop us a note. We'll always reply. Drop us a note and let's discuss these things. But nothing will change if we don't change it ourselves. There's no silver bullet. There's no magic potion. There's no savior that's going to come and make everything better. The savior is within us. And the savior starts with our resilience. The savior starts with our diligence, our hard work. And once we get that right, we'll get the country right. When I ask questions, I am not against the government of the day. I will ask questions because I don't understand. I will ask questions because I think something has gone wrong or something is going wrong and something needs to be addressed. That's when I will question. But when I ask questions, I'm asking questions because I feel that something should change. I'm asking questions because if I really don't mind who's in power, whether it's the PF, whether it's the DP, whether it's the UPND, whoever's in power, as long as they do right by us and they win, then Zambia wins. And that's my point. Whoever's in power, as long as they win, Zambia wins. And the biggest problem that we have in Zambia in terms of this issue is we throw the baby out with the bathwater. We've had the change of government from Dr. Kenneth Kaunda to President Frederick Chiluba. And when I say change of government, yeah, we've had some successive change of government even within the same party, but change of government as one leader from one party taking over from another party. So we've had from Dr. Kenneth Kaunda to Dr. Frederick Chiluba, and then we've had from President Rupia Banda to President Michael Sata, and recently we've had from President Edgar Lungu to President Hakainde Hichilema. But in all successive changes, the problem that we've had is the changes come from a rise of bitterness. The changes come from a rise of anger, subsequent failures, and the people are fed up. And that's what brought the change on. And the problem with this is when the new government comes in, the government comes in with a total clear the table and we start afresh. We do not need to start afresh. Not everything the previous government did was wrong. And not everything the current government is going to do is going to be right. I think we need to learn, and our politicians need to learn to appreciate the work of their predecessors, no matter how good or how bad they were, but learn to appreciate what your predecessor did and where they left off and build on that. I think that is an easier starting point than wiping the slate clean and trying to start all over again. And that is the tendency that we have. And the problem with that is you end up throwing away the baby with the bathwater. And that's not good for anyone. And it's costly for us to always start programs from the beginning and always rewinding programs. And you find that, and because of that, you find that instead of the nation planning for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you find that people just plan for their tenure in office. So they'll plan for 4 or 5 years, 4 or 5 year plans. But that doesn't take us anywhere. We need to start planning long term. We need to start dreaming as a nation. We should stop. I'm so happy with the terminology that has started going around of Zambia being a land-linked country instead of a landlocked. And that's just a shift. It's the same Zambia with the same neighbors we've always had, but that shift in perception makes a big difference. It makes a huge difference. And for now, that's what I think needs to happen. We need to start dreaming. We need to start investing in science and technology. We need to take these things seriously. We need to have young men and women coming out or going to school wishing to be the first in something, the best in something. We need to start building skyscrapers. We need to start dreaming big. My idea is dream as big as you possibly can. Dream as big as you possibly can. And then work towards that dream. And you may not achieve it. And this goes back to my point where I was talking about 30, 40 year plans. If you dream of building 2-bedroom flats, yeah, you probably end up achieving, but that's not a dream. That's just a goal. Dream of building the tallest building in Zambia. You may not achieve it completely, but you will get the ball rolling in the right direction and probably pass on the mantle to your children who will come and continue your dream, and they will add their dream on top of your dream and make that grow. I think we did a podcast a couple of weeks ago about generational wealth, and this sort of touches to that point, that let's not do things for ourselves or for now. Let us plan to do things for the future and the future generations. I'm not saying I'm an expert at this, but I think I'm just trying to share with you what I know. And what I know is, let's work hard so that our children can build on what we left. And now I would just like to take it back to where I was coming from and probably make a little bit of sense of all of this in terms of governance, even our politicians. Dream big. There is nothing wrong. There is no shame in the next guy bringing your dream to fruition. There's no shame in that. It is your dream. And you made You got the ball rolling. You got the ball started. It doesn't matter who comes and finishes it. We shouldn't be here to seek glory. Just like in a football team. The striker is the one who scores the goal. The goalkeeper is the one who defends the goal. But it's the whole team that comes together to win the match. You can't just have a team of brilliant strikers. Or you can't have a team of a brilliant goalkeeper. It's the whole team that comes together to make it successful and win the match. But just like in governance, it's not UNIP that made this country. It's not MMD that bettered this country. It's not PF that developed this country. And it's not UPND that's going to come and save this country. It's all of these coming together and growing and learning from the past and achieving more or building on more from what the others left behind. That is what's going to take us into the future. And that is what we need to see for Zambia. Let us develop a sense of thinking 30 years. If President Hichilema is a one-term president, there's no shame in that. He comes, he does his part and takes the country to the next level. For the next leader to come and build on what he had developed, to come and build on the programs that he had started. Let's not rubbish the work that everyone else did. We all make mistakes and stuff in our journey. I'm not making excuses for the Patriotic Front or anything like that, but all I'm saying is, let's not focus on the mistakes. Let's focus on what they've left behind and build on that. And that's how we're going to grow our nation. I think we'll end it from there today. I hope you had fun. I did too. I enjoy sitting here talking to you. I hope you enjoy listening to me. Please send in your suggestions if there are any topics you'd like us to catch on in the comment section. In the comment section, leave your suggestions. Anyway, thank you so much for spending your time. I know how precious time is, and for you to take the time and sit down and listen to us, I am truly humbled. Thank you so much. I've been your host, Mutepa Puta, and please catch us on our next episode next week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.